This is Sarah-Nell Walsh, and in case we haven't met before, I am a professional coach, a former practicing attorney, and the founder of Wayfinders LLC. And you know, as I have been working with my clients over the past almost 10 weeks now through the pandemic, I've been talking a lot about how I've been super surprised at how they've been struggling with confidence. And as I've talked to several of my other friends who are coaches, you know, their clients are struggling with exactly the same thing. And so I wanted to get on today and talk about how can we cultivate confidence? And what is confidence anyway? So we can think about confidence as a 2x2 matrix, kind of like a grid. And on the bottom axis, you've got your opinion of yourself. And on the top axis, on the up and down axis, you have your opinion of others. And so if you have a high opinion of others and a low opinion of yourself, you're really in kind of this insecure box down here. And the place where you want to be is up in this top right box where you have a high opinion of yourself and a high opinion of others. And that's confidence. And that's the place that we're trying to navigate to. And so how do we do that? It can seem kind of mysterious. And right now, I'm going to ask that you share this message by going down into the lower right-hand corner and clicking on the share button and either sharing this to your timeline or starting a watch party, because I can guarantee you that there are people in your network who need to hear this message. You can also share this to groups if you're part of a mom's group or if you're part of a professional women's organization. I also can guarantee you that there are women in that group who need to hear this message. And so when we're feeling low on confidence, we have to find places where we can purposefully win in order to get it back again. So small wins drive big change, okay? So you can think of this as being a big fish in a small pond. And there's research in HBR, the Harvard Business Review, going back all the way to 1984, that when you have this experience of being a big fish in a small pond, your opinion of yourself can stay elevated for almost 10 years after you leave the pond. Y'all, we have seen this play out. Think about high school cheerleaders or high school football players, right? You see these elevated opinions of themselves carry forward from being a big fish in a small pond. So we've seen what this looks like. And so how do you apply this to your own life? Right? You're like, I can't go back to high school and be a football player or cheerleader or whatever. So what can I do now? And what I would say is maybe you can stop stretching yourself all the time. What would it feel like to sign up for a marathon in the lowest speed category and just like totally rock it? Or what would it feel like to play a round of golf and use the tee box closest to the hole, right? Or what would it feel like to go out and play putt-putt with your kids and like totally beat the pants off of them, okay? So look around in your life and say, where can I have these small wins? It might even be a courageous conversation with your cleaning lady or with your child's teacher, or at your neighborhood association meeting, right? Where can you find really safe and low risk environments to take some chances and to show up as a leader and to increase your confidence and to have these small wins? And it can look like a bunch of different things. You know, and for me, I'll talk about my own life. I went skiing for the first time since I was in my 20s. So it had been, you know, well over 15 years since I had gone skiing. And it really boosted my confidence to be able to do that with such mastery after such a long period of time. That really gave me an easy win. And I didn't know that going in, right? I didn't know that it was going to be a win for me, but it really was. So looking around your life and saying, where can I practice my skills in a safe, low-risk environment and reinflate my confidence? And then also And I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Cut yourself a break, y'all. Self-compassion goes hand in hand with confidence. How can you possibly cultivate confidence if you are constantly cutting yourself down or holding yourself to impossibly high standards? Right? So self-compassion is so important to cultivating confidence, because when we are constantly talking to ourselves with that mean girl voice, we can't possibly feel good about ourselves. So that is really important. And then the final tip that I'll give you about cultivating confidence is actually all about how you hold your body and your posture. And so y'all might have heard of power posing. Back in 2012, Amy Cuddy's power poses were all the rage. And her message was very simple, that our body language governs how we think and feel about ourselves, and therefore how we hold our bodies has an impact on our minds. So in other words, by commanding a powerful stance, we can actually make ourselves feel more powerful. And I've got such a funny story. I don't even know if I can stand up and if you guys can see me, but I'm going to try to. But there was a guy who worked in my office when I was in Big Law. And for those of you who worked with me at the Atlanta office of Baker, you might know who this guy was. But he would walk around the office and you'd see him in the hallway and he'd be like, "Hello, Sarah-Nell." And he was constantly always power posing. And we actually referred to him as power pose, and we would say, you know, so-and-so came into my office and power posed me today. So don't be that person, right? Everything in moderation. But so we can actually make ourselves feel more powerful through our posture. And so how do you do that? Well, Amy's research had really two major findings. And y'all, this was research like at Harvard. This was not like backwoods, you know, pseudoscience. But the first was that people who sat in high power positions felt more powerful than their low power pose counterparts. And you guys can look up this TED Talk. I think it's been seen by like 46 million people or something crazy. And the second was that power posing actually changed the body chemistry of the people who were power posing. And her study suggested that those who adopted high power poses demonstrated an increase in testosterone and a decrease in cortisol. And so how can you put this to work for you, right? Well, you can look up Amy's power poses, although those don't help me quite as much. But Wendy Palmer is a master coach, and she's an expert in somatics. And she instructs that when we sit hunched over, like most of us do all day at our computer and kind of curled in on ourselves, that our bodies release cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And so we are possibly releasing cortisol all day just by how we're holding our bodies, right? And so what can you do? Well, you can uplift your posture. So I'm sure for those of you who have done either Pilates or yoga, you've heard about this idea of either a string or a beam of light coming out through the top of your head and sitting very erectly, you know, with this idea of energy coming out through the top of your head. And one of the things that Wendy Palmer does to kind of stimulate that is she actually does this. And she would say that that releases testosterone, that this uplifting of your head in that way, that kind of little head bop releases testosterone, which can actually increase your confidence. And then also spreading your fingers and opening your arms. So in any uplifted, if you do yoga, any uplifted pose or a downward pose too, with your hands open and wide and your fingers spread apart, also releases testosterone. So standing that way in kind of that open posture can really increase your confidence, which is great to know, which is why yoga and meditation can be so good for you for so many reasons. And then when you smile, your body releases oxytocin and dopamine, which are happiness hormones, which can elevate your drive and your leadership and your confidence. And so what she would say is, as you're doing these things, as you're uplifting or as you're puffing your chest out, she calls it a lizard push-up, right? This like bump out that we have to do to kind of counteract this hunching in on ourselves that we do all day at the computer. You also think of something that brings you joy so that a smile kind of naturally comes to your face. And that's a great way to increase your confidence in just really a very short amount of time. And by changing your brain chemicals, right? By releasing these hormones that can help you increase confidence, in addition to practicing self-compassion and orchestrating situations where you can have small wins. So those are the 3 ways that I'm giving you today that you can experiment with to try and increase your confidence. I would love to hear how they go for you. Ever since I saw Wendy talk on Hudson's Care and Resilience call last Friday, I have been so hyper conscious, even when I'm sitting at my computer, about my posture and how I'm holding myself as I'm on the phone with my clients, and trying to stay really uplifted in my posture so that I can call on all of those positive hormones and chemicals that my body releases instead of all the stress hormones that my body releases. So I hope this has been helpful to you today. I would love to hear your takeaways in the comments. And I hope that everyone, at least here in Georgia, is surviving our last week of virtual learning and really able to enjoy this week before summer comes, which who knows what that looks like. To give you guys a little preview of what's happening the rest of the week in the Fem Power series, tomorrow I'm going to be talking with my dear friend John Galvin on how to start a meaningful and profitable business. Both of us are new business owners with businesses that are less than 2 years old, and so we're going to be talking about how to start a business. You know, necessity is the mother of invention, and a lot of new businesses often get started in uncertain times such as these. So we're going to be talking about that. And then on Thursday, what did I have planned for Thursday? You know what? I don't even remember. But tomorrow we're going to be talking about how to start a business. And I will tell you what we're talking about on Thursday when I talk to y'all tomorrow. Take care. Bye.